which is basically, what are all these people over here, what are they all saying needs to be there on day one of my business, or my product, or my launch of this new thing? What are they all saying? I'm going to boil it down to the most basic of basic, because I want to get this thing out there. I don't want to sit on this forever. I want to get this out because people want this and they're willing to buy it tomorrow. I just need to make it. So if you've met with all these people, had a Crush Club meeting, and they have a crush on your idea, and they say, please build this. I have money to pay for this. Please build it. All of a sudden, you can go into this and you can say, I know exactly what they want. You're able to take that MVP doc, your minimum viable product, and go, sweet. Then the next step, you go right back to your Crush Club and they're going to okay it. You say, I met with 50 other people just like you, or in my case, 24 other people. I'm back to you again. What do you think of this idea? Will it float? We've heard all this stuff. Day one though, this is all we can afford. Is this going to work? And they're going to either tell you yes or no, and then you can write your first draft business plan off of it. Basically what this does though, it creates a constant feedback loop. No longer are you living in your office with your head in the clouds dreaming of where your business is going to go, because at any point in this process, you find out people don't really like this, you go right back to your idea and go, I've heard it enough. People don't think this thing is really going to work. So what do they really want? We go right back to the idea and take it right back to your Crush Club again. We're searching, we're searching, we're searching. We're not building yet. This is a whole process of trying to get the right business to build, not just building a business because we have an idea. I think a great example of this, my new startup here in real estate. Two guys, I already talked about my broken arm in February. February 5th, my broken arm happened. On about February 1st, I was having sushi with a buddy of mine, Paul. Paul had this idea 2-3 years ago. Basically, he thought, what if we could create Facebook for houses? So cool, like create Facebook for houses where anybody that owns a home could have a profile. You can put it on there, and then you can invite all your friends to become neighbors. You can invite them to house parties, you can post pictures of your kitchen or your new big screen TV, and it's safe because nobody else can look at it. So they spent 2 to 3 years developing this, him and 2 other guys. Fast forward, February 1st, 4 days before I broke my arm. I'm sitting and having sushi with them, and I'm saying, Paul, it's so cool what you're doing with your business, your House Munch thing. It was called House Munch at the time. I said, Paul, it's so great what you're doing here. And he said, yeah, man, we're $2,000 from finishing this project. I mean, after 2-3 years, that's a lot of money, invested time. I'm like, dude, $2,000, that's great. And he says, yeah, man, I think we should just put the money in and call it a day. And I'm like, well, after that long, that sounds like a plan. And I go, who's going to use it? How are you going to get people there? Who's going to use this? And he goes, well, we don't really know who's going to use it yet, probably homeowners. And I go, okay. I was like, how are you going to actually get people to come to the site to use it then? And he's like, well, we don't really know that either. And I said, so you don't know those two things. How are you actually going to make money on this thing? And he goes, well, we don't really know that either yet. We're probably just going to put ads on the site. And I said, oh man, Paul. I said, you're willing to spend $2,000 more just to close the deal on this thing because you're tired of it. I was like, what if you took $200, took out real estate agents and said, what do you think of this whole thing? Could we make money off of you doing it? Basically, could this help you in your house sale? So Paul goes, I don't have time to do that. Both him and the other guy had a full-time job. And he looked at me and he said, Bill, would you have time to do this? And I said, I think I could. At that point, I was working like a half hour a day on my business. And I said, I think I could do it for you. I was like, talk to Jeff though, see what he says. And he talked it over with Jeff, and Jeff said, yeah, bring Bill in. So they brought me in equal share into the company because they didn't have any money coming into the company, and they said, if you don't come in, we're not going to get this thing up and running. So fast forward, February 5th, I break my arm. The day before, I post on my Facebook thing, in the next 20 days, I want to meet with 20 agents to talk about a new real estate idea I have. That was sure hard to do when you have a broken arm and you can't drive. So I'm sitting there, my friends would drop me off at a coffee shop, and literally real estate agents would drive to the coffee shop to meet me. I had Crush Club meetings with a broken arm. I couldn't even drive, and people were willing to meet me because I told them I have this idea that could revolutionize the way people do sales online. You know what though? Remember this feedback loop thing? We go, idea, form your Crush Club, people who are actually going to tell you if it's good. Well, I got shot down more times than I can tell you. People did not like this new Facebook for houses. In fact, they said they weren't even willing to spend money on it. In fact, some people said they weren't even willing to try it because it was too much of a hassle. So I had to go back to Paul and Jeff with my broken arm. We'd meet up for breakfast. Once my arm healed, I said, guys, nobody wants this. In fact, people don't even get it. In fact, there's new laws that just came out that can't even allow this thing to happen. Paul and Jeff, their jaws dropped and they go, really? And I go, yeah, I mean, this whole thing, we gotta rethink this process because something isn't gonna happen here fast. And they looked at it, and I gotta give these two guys credit. They looked and they said, okay, well, what do we do now? They looked at me as the guy to give them an answer, and I said, well, here's what people liked. Because again, I met with my crush club of people, these real estate agents. I took amazing notes. I could show you guys the notes if you want to see after. Amazing notes, scribbles, circling things, huge. I looked at this whole process, and I was able to tell them, you know what? Nobody liked this idea, but they sure loved this one feature that I told them about. And they went, do you think we could build a business around that one feature? And I said, I think we can. So we went right back to our crush club then with this new idea. We said, what if we could do this one thing really good? And people were like, hey, I might buy that. And we thought, maybe we have a business. Maybe we have a business. So we took it a little further, and we went back to the drawing board then in our house with our MVP doc, or minimum viable product, at launch date. We thought, what's the most minimum thing we can do on launch date? And as we thought this through, talking to agents, we realized, you know what, this thing still is pretty big. We thought, what if we can make it even smaller? So what we came up with, instead of creating the next Facebook for houses, or the first Facebook for houses, we came up with what agents really wanted. We heard they hate the sale process because it's so much time. In fact, things don't close on time. You can't close a house sale in a timely manner because there's so many people talking about it. And all of a sudden, we had a viable product here, creating a platform online to actually close house sales on time, every time, creating, in essence, a table where everybody could talk online and put all their documents, put all their conversation in one place. All of a sudden, agents are telling us they're willing to spend up to $50 a month on this thing, when 6 months before, people are telling us, I don't even really want to try it. So we took this feedback loop, and now we're in the process, because we had to go all the way back to the beginning, 8 months later, get an idea. We're going right back to our crush club now to go right into the first round again with this startup. Because we finally realized, after talking to them, what the core of it is. So now we're going right back to them and creating our minimum viable requirements after that meeting. I can't tell you guys how happy Paul and Jeff were when we realized $2,000 wasn't going to be wasted on something that was bound to fail. Literally, it was bound to fail. And if we look at failing early and often with an idea, I'm so glad for the cost of under $100 that I could take people out for coffee and find out that nobody liked it, instead of coming into a business that was bound to fail 6 months down the line when we ran out of money and burned all our bridges, and people go, that was failure. So really, this system here is creating this loop where at any time you can get feedback and learn, my idea is not worth it. The new product I want to launch is not going to work because people don't actually want this. I think it's great, but people don't want it. So this whole process, kind of to pull it back, if we're looking at it, we're looking to replace the owner's assumptions with facts. That's all we're doing with the Crush Club idea here. We're getting you out of the office, and instead of you living with your ideas, putting them in your business plan, the business plan comes last. And hopefully you can make money on this idea here. The Crush Club though, basically, here's 3 reasons why startups exist, kind of to close this. Because this gives purpose for everything that we're going to do with the Crush Club. Again, we're searching for a sustainable and scalable business model. So 3 reasons startups exist. 1 is to search, not build. Just because you're a startup doesn't mean that you have something to sell. In my case with the real estate, you know what? We had to search. We couldn't just build. 2-3 years we spent building. And all of a sudden, when we started searching, we found what a real business looks like. And not even a real business where people are like, I might use it, but a business where they say, please make this because I need this. And we have it on 2 fronts, not only the real estate agents, but consumers going, this thing is going to make me actually want to buy a house now. I'm not going to worry about how long it's going to take, especially with short sales. We've searched, we're not building. Second reason startups exist is to learn, not assume. Again, what's a business plan? Business plan is the owner's hypothesis, which is a fancy word for guess, put into it, which is his ideas. We're not going to assume we're going to learn. We're actually going to get out of our office. We're going to get into a coffee shop. We're going to get into lunches. We're going to get wherever it is to actually meet people who might want what we want to offer. And the third thing we're going to do is we're going to replace facts, or faith and assumption with facts. So doing this whole thing, we're going to know for sure. We're going to know for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that when we launch this business, we actually have people who are going to use this thing. I can't think of a single business where this doesn't apply. People sometimes like throwing out ideas like, well, I bet Steve Jobs didn't do that with the iPhone or whatever. But Steve Jobs did do this with the iPhone. You guys, Steve Jobs back in the day lived in the Apple stores. He loved going to the Apple stores to actually talk to customers about what they wanted. He didn't just sit in his office dreaming of an iPhone. Now granted, some of those things he had ideas of, but he heard what customers actually wanted. And then he took it and he said, how would you like this? And then he took it to development. He didn't just develop it, hope it works. And when we think about it, that first iPhone, what didn't it have? It didn't have copy and paste. It didn't have all the cool features of the iPhone 4S or whatever the new one is. It was a phone that had an iPod on it and a camera that people didn't like. But he figured a way to get the first product out that people are actually willing to buy. And that right there is genius, instead of just hoping that people would buy it. So kind of to conclude here, on your way out, what I've done is every single person in this room, I bought you a notebook. Okay, everybody in this room is going to get a notebook on their way out. Because this is your first path to starting a business, or it's your first step to taking your current business and finding out what you need to do next. If we go back to this feedback loop here, I hope that by the end of the night here tonight, you guys have an idea of what you're doing next in your business. If you're not creating in your business, if you're just living in it, it's going to be boring. You constantly got to be going through this loop here. You have an idea, talk to people who are actually going to buy it, and you have that by getting a notebook. I mean, think of this. You could go to Stanford, Harvard, wherever, North Central, go into a business class, and they're going to teach you how to do all this stuff. When what am I telling you tonight? Get a white notebook and put the customer's name on the top, the date you're meeting them, and find out what in the world they actually want. It's going to blow you away when you actually talk to a customer. I've outlined this on my blog, BillSvoboda.com. I'll put that up here just so you guys can see it. I love this stuff. It's more fun than you guys would you'd ever expect, because when you actually meet somebody that you're not pitching them, you're finding out what they actually want and need, and you realize I can make that for you, all of a sudden you realize I can make money making this for you. I'm not just hoping to make money. I'm not just going to go to my banker and say, here's my plan, full of my thoughts. Can you invest in me? The banker's going to laugh at you. In fact, now in just the venture capital community, they hate that. They hate that stuff. They want to see that you're doing something similar to the Crush Club. So I guarantee you guys, if you can take your notebook that you're going to walk out here tonight, just put in there the first name of the first person that you're going to talk to coming out. Think, who in the world am I going to serve? Who has the need that I think I'm creating this business for? And actually get the guts to drop them an email, find somebody who knows somebody and get an introduction, and buy them a cup of coffee. And at the end of that meeting, say, if I made this tomorrow and it was free, would you use this? If they say no, I got bad news for you. You got to go right back to the idea mode. If at the end of that conversation they say, if it cost, you name it, a new cup of coffee, if it cost $5, would you buy it? If they say yes, bam, we got something good, and you're going to go at that on your page, and you're going to write right here, $5, circle it big, and you're going to say Bill Svoboda. And you're going to say, I'm going to call you in a month after I talk to a few more people. Can I buy you another cup of coffee? This right here will change the way you look at your startup. It's going to change the way you look at how you're in your business every day. It's going to get you out of your office, and it's going to get you in front of real customers. And that's going to help you guys build a business that you can actually grow and that you're going to be pumped about every single day.